All right, let's see. We are back. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. We are trying all new stuff here. We are trying new mic stand. It's been a Friday that every single thing seems to be having a mind of its own. So we'll see how the day goes. But no real complaints. All good things. Nothing's making or broke. Nah, it's not gonna work. But no, good day, good day. I want to move this up here. All right. Kind of falls. Yeah. Well, whatever. We're gonna make it work. So we have a short stream today, just about an hour. We have Mr. Gus at the bath at the groomers. So he is getting all fresh and handsome. And we're going to be starting a painting. We're going to be talking about, tips and techniques to kind of how we start so we can come back to it, how we start so it's starting on the right foot and trying to avoid a lot of mistakes that can arise later on in the painting, right? A good start can fix a lot of those problems. So that's kind of what our goal or focus today is. Coconut somewhere down. I don't have a water. So we're 0 for 2 so far. That just means the painting's going to come out perfect, obviously. Alright, let's see if we can make this work. That goes like this. There. Alright, I don't know if I'm going to like this right in my face like this, but... yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Whatever, we're going to make it work. Trying different cam angles, trying different mics. I'm trying to figure out the best way to capture different mediums, right? Because I have the camera above me looking down for watercolor or charcoal. This is what I always want. This is what I always struggle with capturing. So we'll see. Clearly we're using a panel that has a painting on it. It's from a while ago. I don't remember what it was. Probably from an older life session. I would assume I showed up late, or was kind of more teaching and walking around and not really painting too much, clearly. But I don't remember specifically, which is weird, because I feel like I remember a lot of these pieces. So, especially when they're life sessions, right? Because that's usually a special sort of fun experience with a model or whatever. But ultimately, when we're starting a painting here, that's it. Okay, go. So you're always looking. to start light. You want your paint to be thin, not light, but thin, right? And kind of want to stay away from darker starts. Warmer starts are usually easier, especially, well, I'm doing a portrait right now, but with a figure, because it's usually easy to get it close to a skin tone, right? If it's warm, if it's a warmer red. Try to avoid whites, because then it might just all get kind of chalky, right? I usually use, I don't know if I have a usual, so I use a lot of stuff. You can use black, you can use blue. Again, it's all relative to how much control you're going to exercise over the paint throughout the paint. If that makes sense. So what that means is if you put a bunch of black and dark colors down, you have to be careful throughout the piece to not muddy everything up, right? But it's always kind of, again, you're starting with just marks, right? Thin, loose, light marks. We have that here. It's gonna be the forehead. There's the top of her head. I don't use very formulaic, right? Like I'm not gonna necessarily chop this side off. I'm kind of just checking shapes and distances. And it's a little bigger than I want it right now, but I always find it easier again to chop it in versus try to expand, have to make it larger. Do want that a little smaller here. Smile. Still might be more this way for a middle. Then it might still be like kind of there. So again, I'm starting very light, right? Nothing's permanent. There's no marks that I can't change if I want to. Checking distances, checking marks, angles. Again, starting very loose, right? I have a coconut around on the ground. If I look around like there's something moving beneath me, there is a dog. So I've talked about this a little bit, but when you're measuring distances, right? I wanted to get this distance closer. Now, rather than just looking where I have my marks and moving right up and saying, okay, it's about that, right? I cut it in sections. So I kind of found the first light shape, right, around her forehead. A little bit of another light about right where the head starts to shift. So it kind of goes like this. And then this is the back. So again, kind of comes like straight down. It comes here and here. And it still might be off just a little bit, but rather than trying to measure this in one thing, I went here, pretty close, there, probably pretty close, right? It's kind of easy, they're about the same shape. And then one more, and they're all about the same shape. So I'm probably close, and it's probably closer than just jumping up here and saying, well, this shape is this big. So just little starts, right? That can make a big difference in the final where it ends up going. And it's all angles. What up, Blue? How you doing, man? Now you know that this has to come here like this. Straight down almost. And let's see, we have our spacing here. It's close. It's usually about the distance of an eye. So if you kind of have an eye distance in between the eyes, it's usually about the same. Just little references. They're not always correct though by any means. Another day, my dude. I like it, man. It's a Friday though, so today is a good day. Anyway you cut it, really. But this is like, let's see, eye, cheek, and down. Like right there, maybe, yeah. Oh, makes sense, because then this is here, which would then come about here, which is kind of what we want. That's why we talk about waiting on the chin, because until this is really solidified, it's all relative. I can make the figure have as big of a chin as you want, right? Because everybody's different. But if I'm trying to be accurate, until this is accurate, this is going to keep changing slightly. So again, we're sketching this in, we're getting this accurate and moving out in small shapes. We're teaching in the short stream today, you know, we're teaching. Our Roomba going upstairs sounds like it's having trouble. But I told it I had to stream and I wasn't going to be there to help, so it's on its own now. Little too long right now. So as I kind of keep making marks, right, I'm just getting, I'm making the paint not even less thin, just a little darker, right? And actually I just put in some alizarin crimson, so it's going to be quite a bit darker and pink. So I can start really seeing certain marks, right? As they come way down, that's okay. Another reason you start real thin is because again you can remove the paint, right? So if it's not right, just pick up the paint and get it right. I don't know why I always have fun doing that. It's so childish. Such a good joke though to be like, hey, I'm done, there's a smiley face. No. First time somebody did that, obviously, I really liked it. Like, ha, that's funny. A little Batman-ish. No, we didn't come here for you. Sorry, homie. There. Very Batman-ish. It's the ears, you know? It's the ears. Promise it'll make sense, but it's kind of cool it doesn't yet. Probably pretty easy guess as to who I'm painting, but if you know a little about my superhero likes, you know it's not Batman. Batman's a bitch. I said it. So it's not Batman. So I'm still just really, really loose. And again, this is where I talk about the sort of blueprint that you need, that every artist has a different amount of information they need down to accurately continue the painting, right? And it's different for everyone. There's no like set once you reach this stage, once you reach this stage. That doesn't exist. Everybody's very different when it gets to that sort of, oh no, I have enough information to continue. Some people need no information. And I literally mean no information, like they just start right in with marks, right? And it's very efficient. It's very difficult, right? It's still too long. It's going to be this lower one. Kind of just softening it out, pressing it into the canvas a little, right, with a soft brush, so that instead of specific shapes, or instead of lines, it's a little bit more general shapes, right? And that's going to help me make some marks on top of it. It's kind of picking up, softening it out. Way too dark of paint. Hold on. So I try to stay out of the white and the black. That's something that you hear a lot, and it's like you don't have to. The reason is that if you just go into it too early, all your paints and colors can get chalky, right? Chalky or muddy. It's not always true. You can manage it and control it very specifically, right? But it's difficult. So it's one of those things that's recommended not to do, right? Again, not like it's you have to abide, but it's one of those things that it just makes it significantly easier to use simple warmer starts that aren't going to mess with the piece too much, right? And as well, when you're darkening and lighting in the beginning of your painting, right? When you're working with colors, changing the values, if there's a color that's lighter or darker, that's why you have lights and darks palette. You have a warm and cool palette, and a lot of times you have a light and a dark tone. So you have a light yellow, a dark yellow, light blue, dark blue. Sometimes more, right? But at minimum, you usually run the basic double primary palette with two tones of each paint, right? So you can actually, if you have a blue that you want to be lighter, instead of adding white, I can add my light blue. And all the same down the line, right? Blue's usually the easiest example. And now, again, it's just kind of putting in shapes. We'll go down all the way. Everything's pretty sharp angles too, right? Not really getting anything too... Everything can still be very moved around. It's all very loose marks, right? And what I'm looking for is a balance and an accuracy in the shapes to continue. And this is, again, where and why I stress that the biggest thing is now it's kind of how much information you want. How much information you want on the canvas before you start really putting in thick paint, right? Because everybody has a different point on that. So when you're watching or listening or learning, there's going to be people that are going to start painting right now. There's going to be people that are going to start painting in another hour. There are going to be people that are going to start painting 15 minutes ago. And what I mean by painting, again, is putting down thick paint. I'm still working very loose and light, just estimating these shapes. You can see how watery the paint still is, right? It's just kind of splashing down pretty easily. This is what I said about the chin. See how it's gonna move just a little bit each time? So obviously we're gonna have to add color sooner than we normally would, just so it doesn't look like Batman here. That's crazy. Not supposed to be Batman.
summer. The winter don't stand no chance. It's hotter in the summer. Yeah. Hotter in the summer.
Shit might be like there.
Es difícil disimular. Un segundo.
All right, so now it's just values here. We have a pretty good start. Now one of the biggest things, time is yeah, it's gonna be close. Yeah, so if those are her lips, right? It's gonna be like right out there. You see how it keeps sort of moving up? That's a good example of why this part is easier, because again, I had a shadow shape that were all kind of the same. So even though the shapes weren't exactly correct, right? They were pretty close. This part, you kind of have the measurements, but it might change a lot. That's again why I talk about your blueprint or your roadmap, right? Because if I start putting in paint the second I put this line down, everything can be fixed 100%. You can still fix it. You can remove the paint and fix it, right? But that just is difficult. And what happens is when you get a lot of paint down, take a break and you come back and it's so wrong, it's very not even frustrating, it's very disheartening, right? You're like, oh my god, I have to I'm just starting the painting over. You could have painted for hours, right? So that's a big reason why in the beginning of these pieces, start very slow. Don't worry about these social media, these YouTube, these this, that are just like ripping paintings out 5 marks or starting with nothing down and kind of just going about it that way. That's incredible, but don't be discouraged if you're not doing that, because there's also a lot of paintings even for them that aren't going like that, I promise. And if they're saying every painting comes out perfect, warning. Now, in theory, every painting could come out perfect if you go super slow like this. But again, it's not going to just come together, every mark instantaneously correct. Right. And now this is perfect because this is the size we kind of wanted the head at. Might still be a little bit off, but it's pretty close, right? still a little wide, which is fine. And this comes up more. Another big thing to keep in mind is that you should always be improving, right? So there's nothing wrong with fixing a painting or adjusting angles. You should always be learning and always, that's up here, yeah. Practicing, improving, making mistakes, fixing mistakes. That's really a big part of growing and improving as an artist. That's really how you get faster. Is just make mistakes. Sucks. It's true though. And now I've talked about this point as well, where now I really have to let the paint sink in. That's why I kind of, again, wanted to do just an hour today. Well, not wanted to, I have to, because Gus is at the groomer. But I wanted to just talk about getting a really good start on paintings, because it's something that I think I struggled, well, still struggle with every day, but I struggled a lot, and I didn't realize necessarily that's what I was kind of struggling with, if that makes sense. So I would always get to the point of the painting where I was like, oh, I've made so many mistakes, and I kind of didn't realize that that was really happening right at the beginning, right? So I've been trying to kind of cater the streams to things that I don't really know people struggle with, because I can't really do that, but things that I struggle with or struggled with, there's probably a good chance that I'm not the only one that has been in that boat, right? It's like if somebody, yep. We have a little coconut here. Hi. We have a little coconut in the house. Coconut sighting. Hi. Hey. Your brother getting a bath? Oh, he's here. He's here now.
Hi, let's go.
Alright, let's see what we can do now here. Alright, so
Yeah, sunny days, no clouds in the sky, but I get away. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me 'cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny day, maybe.
so it might come up a little bit. But again, I'm not gonna keep changing this because now I'm gonna kind of commit, right?
Got the Tropicana fresh fresh cut sushi on a platter, brandy, honey, it don't matter shots. Till I drop, gonna be 24/7, golden hour like a boss. And they say, yo, guess you got a 2 o'clock appointment for a champagne shot, whoa, yeah. I'm busy trying to take it higher, got no time for never, only spending cheddar. Wish I could do this forever. Chilling with the hottest company, they all wanna welcome me to their private penthouse suite. Yeah, now I got the key. Rooftop pool, got a heli on speed. Ocean view from the highest peak. I'm complete, oh, I want this to stay. Please don't go away. Sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, about to get away.
And I'm just kind of looking at this dark shape here to just kind of get some paint down, some yellow paint. And now what I'm doing is prepping to come back to it, right? So what I'm trying to do is get a general sense for the colors, get a general sense for where each mark is. Please don't lick my chair.
Dollars on a dolly with my homies, eco-friendly. Here we invite only positivity to this party. Don't want no drama with any back karma. Got a lot of that in La Vida Loca. Just wanna let it all go. Yeah, I can't say no when I'm this free. Don't wanna go home, oh I can't sleep. Weather's so nice, only got good vibes. Yeah, we here chillin', chillin' in paradise. Sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, about to get away. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me 'cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny days, sunny days.
Oh, this is like here. Yeah.
Stressing down, yeah, not today. Feels like it's been a freaking decade. Sorry, don't call me 'cause I'm gonna be on break. Sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky.
So again, I'm making marks, color notes, and softening edges so that when I come back, I'm not like, wait, what was I doing? Where was I here? And this is just a good part to get in the habit of doing, right? You don't have to do it all the time. But what it does is it makes you, it makes me excited to come back to the piece, right? And that to me is worth so much. Because as artists, if we're excited to create, you just will. Sometimes, like we said, when you come back and your piece is just wrong, it's hard to be like, let's fix it, let's restart, let's do this, let's do that. So it's a big thing where if you come back to it and you're like, oh yeah, I like where this is at, I like all my edges, it's easy to work back into it. My colors aren't bad, you know what I mean? Any of that sort of stuff, I have a good roadmap, oh, I like where I'm at. You get excited and you want to keep working, right? Or again, it makes me very excited. And that's why, again, I'm putting down a base of some colors, because this will also help me see my shapes when I come back, because there's a lot of markings underneath from the previous painting that was there, right? So again, they're color cues as well as just kind of covering up what was underneath so that I have a nice surface to work with. And it's still gonna come up. This is why we leave this part for last. So I did this whole thing for this edge right here. This is going to be kind of my deciding edge, because from here I can jump right to here and check this distance is accurate, and then this line. So that's really my anchor that I'm working on. So when I started doing this, I didn't want to just leave color here. I kind of just figured I'd do the whole thing. But again, it's like anything. This is all going to move. So you don't need that there. everything I'm putting down is still very, very thin. It's very thinned out. I'm just trying to get close with the skin tone and get paint on the canvas. And then I'm going to go through, smooth it out, and that's kind of when we take our break. And then come back and do it. And so again, I can check this shape, right? Here, comes to here. See? And so then you can kind of keep checking this shape, which has to come in. Close. Pretty close given where this will be. This will move. This will move. Got the lips here. Something like that, because it actually does come straight down, not as angled. He's just laying with his head on the desk. Then it's like anything, it's where we slow down and start moving paints around, right? Definitely comes in more. So again, it kind of looks like very little. But I have a very, very good base for what I need to do now. Where I need to come back, where I need to add my shadows, my shapes, edges. I have the whole shape intact. I have my composition. And everything's pretty accurate as far as it stands. Again, things might have to move like a little bit in, a little bit out, right? But this, which I talked about as being my kind of anchor, to this, is what I was, is not the whole thing, but that's a big part of coming back for me, right? So now I can come back and I can continue. I can go perfect. So I need to go here. I need to put white here. I need to blend that a little and find that shadow shape. And get to this angle, which is actually going to be like that. Perfect. Then you just keep building it up from there. Again, you can go in with, everybody paints differently. People go in with big chunks of paint. People keep building it. People go black and white and add color. There's a million different ways. The biggest thing is to get a solid start on your painting, i.e. thin paint, accurate, as accurate as possible angles and drawing. And I was going to say some sort of value range, but maybe it's like values and colors. The biggest thing is keeping the paint light and getting your starting drawing close. If your paint's light, you can always kind of change it. And what I mean by light is thin. You can always change it. So if you have a shape that's wrong and it's thin paint, can literally almost wipe it away with your hand, right? If it's thick, so if it's towards the end of the painting, right, when you like really get paint right from the tube, and you put a mark in here that's like this isn't even gonna be as thick because I have whatever on. There's a ton of turpentine on this, and it's wrong. I mean, you're not gonna be able to get rid of it. It's gonna stay there. So you really want to start light and start as accurate as possible. And then you can finish with a really good painting. And that's kind of the basic of today's stream, gang. That is where we're gonna wrap it up, because again, I have to go get a little Gusabea, and as well. Oh, the camera's in the way. We have a coconut here. We have a coconut, but we have Gus finishing up. I think they just actually called my phone. Missed call. I don't recognize the number, so it's probably them. And we'll be back. We're actually taking a little break. We have family coming in next week, so we'll be posting about what our streams are and when they'll be back. But we won't be streaming next week at all. So be sure to check the socials, join the Discord, smash like, subscribe, be ready for the schedule change, and most importantly, stay healthy, stay happy. Much love, gang.